speak to me. With faith I won't fail. I just need a sword. I openly provide and constantly prevail. I'm not a curse but a godsend. The greatest king allows this, set forevermore. My country I adore. You will be the saddest creature here. You tell us lies of things that you have never.
Hello and welcome. Good evening. Tavern Tales presents Story Time, and it will begin shortly. This is our second week, and we're starting here on Chapter 6 of Heart and Soul Fist. This is our second week, and so far Jane has met Andrew, and we've learned a great deal about the world that Jane lives in and the responsibilities that she faces. Jane has recently defeated some vile jackal spirits that I have no doubt will show up again soon. And she's just crash-landed into her own family's backyard, where it looks like her brother, Daniel, was planning on proposing to his girlfriend Hannah tonight. We've been extremely blessed with the opportunity to read you Chris Ing's Heart and Soul Fist. This is a full cast event every Tuesday until we finish, and we're looking forward to sharing this reading with you. And with that, I will turn things over to Autumn to begin Chapter 6.
Sorry. You were going to ask. Just ignore me. Go ahead, I say, turning my head away from Daniel and Hannah, covering my face. Pretend I'm not here,
I already asked Jane.
Daniel says. I dare to look at him. He looks half amused, half irritated. Oh, congratulations,
She hasn't answered yet, Jane.
Daniel says. I feel like now would be a good time to just go ahead and die. Maybe I could grab one of the dumbbells from the nearby weight set and jump into the pool. Hannah smiles brightly at me. I've always been enamored with Hannah. She's African American and gorgeous and smart and hilarious. When I was a kid, I wanted to be her so badly. I still kind of do.
It's okay, Jane. There's no suspense here. Of course, I'll marry you, Daniel.
Daniel slips the ring onto her finger and they kiss. The sliding door opens and my family comes flooding out. Mom and Dad are in the lead to rush in and congratulate the two, hugging and kissing both of them. The brothers take turns slapping Daniel roughly on the back. Hannah pulls me into the fray with a big hug, and Daniel messes up my already messed up hair. I'm finally having a sister around here, I say to Hannah.
You always did. You know that.
She's right. Hannah's been around so long, I can't remember a time when she wasn't here. And the whole time she's been the sister I never had. But still, feels good to make it official. I know it's just legal documents and ceremonies, but I'm still excited to make her part of the family, forever.
Lost my place. Inside, everyone. We need to eat.
Mom declares. She waves back into the house, where Mom had apparently made enough short ribs to feed an army. I didn't see any short ribs being marinated this morning when I was on breakfast duty, so Mom must have whipped everything up in one day. The woman is an unstoppable cooking force. In fact, an entire party has been assembled inside. My immediate family is already a crowd, but I find my aunt and my 3 little cousins and 2 of my mom's cousins who were visiting from South Korea, all waiting. My uncle was nowhere to be seen, but that was pretty normal for family gatherings. perfect, I say.
Your parents invited me. I figured I should look nice for an engagement party.
They told you and they didn't tell me?
We tried. We texted you like 1,000 times.
Fernanda says. I grimace and pull out my phone. I turn off the notification sounds while I was running, and sure enough, there were 9 missed text messages. Sorry, I say.
Where were you?
I was, Fernanda gasps, putting her hands to her mouth.
You were on the date.
I guess it was kind of a date,
You need to tell me all about it. Now.
she says, grabbing my hand and pulling me towards the stairs. Wait a minute, I'm starved. I should at least say hi to my aunts. Fernanda nods and I rush over to the food. You would think that after a long session of all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue that I wouldn't be hungry, but the battle with the jackals had taken a lot out of me. The one drawback about the solstice is that it causes some massive appetite issues. I'm not sure how the science of it works, but the logic always seems sound to me. Use a lot of energy, need to replenish a lot of energy. I piled 8 ribs onto a plate, and 3 of them were demolished before I even made it over to my first aunt. I made the usual greetings, stumbling through my terrible Korean with my South Korean relatives, and end up over by Hannah, who's talking things over with her mom. In American tradition, wedding planning falls to the bride's family. The Korean families around here tend to do things in a more cooperative negotiation. Besides, Hannah doesn't have much family. She moved here when she and Daniel were in middle school with her mom and grandmother. Her grandmother passed when they were in college, and Hannah's mom moved to the East Coast for work. Hannah stayed for school, then stayed here to be with Daniel and to start her career.
Oh, technology. I'll call your mother first thing in the morning. We have a lot of planning to do, and we want to be equal partners. We will help pay too. Our family is big, and there will be many clan members who will want to attend as well.
My mom says. Hannah knows about the clan stuff. Daniel told her when they were dating in high school. I don't remember Dad ever being that angry before or since. It was a violation of the code is really dangerous. What if you two break up and so on? He had yelled for almost half an hour, threatening to call her uncle, threatened to ship Daniel off to live with some cousin in South Korea. That had worked out though. They didn't break up. She kept the secret, and most importantly, she had accepted the spirit battling part of his life.
Thanks, Amma.
Hannah says. Mom had insisted on Hannah calling her Amma about 5 years ago.
There is also another ceremony to join the clan through marriage. You and Daniel have to talk about that one. It's a simple one, and it can wait until after the wedding and honeymoon. I had to do it when I married Sam.
Oh, all right. I didn't know about that one.
Daniel probably forgot. We have lots of time to work everything out.
My mom says. Hannah nods, then finally notices me standing behind my mom. I had eaten the last 5 ribs in the meantime.
Hey, Jane, what's up?
Hannah says. My mom rushes off to attend to some other aspect of the party. Hi, sorry I ruined the proposal, I say.
Oh, you didn't ruin it. It was funny. And Daniel had already said all of his mushy romantic stuff.
She says in a low voice. We both laughed about it.
He has good taste, though. Take a look.
The ring sparkles brilliantly on her finger, white gold with a big square diamond. It's beautiful, I say.
You did a pretty good job. Hey, Jane, the thing I have to do to join the clan by marriage, it's not some sort of battle, is it?
She's trying to keep the question light, but I think she's actually a little concerned. I shake my head. No, I don't think so. Mom has never done any battle stuff. There are plenty of non-fighters in the clan, I say.
That's what I thought. Just had to make sure.
Hannah says, letting out a breath of relief. But hey, once you're in, you'll get discounts at every dry cleaner and Korean restaurant in the city, I say. We laugh. One of my aunts wave over Hannah and she excuses herself to talk to her. As I walk back towards the stairs, I realize how complicated marrying Daniel is going to be for her. She's been engaged for less than an hour and she already had to think about clan rituals. Every decision they will make will be colored by the clan for the rest of their lives. Would they have children? And if they did, would they be trained in the soul fist? Hannah must really love Daniel to put up with all that. I think about Andrew. I wouldn't have to explain anything to Andrew. I wouldn't have to hide anything. I would never have to worry about whether or not he would reject me for being part of such a strange world. I wouldn't ever have to give up my training. In fact, it would be expected of me to continue it. I hadn't thought about how complicated a marriage would be. I mean, other than my 9th grade fiasco, it wasn't like I had a lot of relationships to make me think about it. Maybe part of me had thought that I'd marry another Haruk clan member. Or maybe I wouldn't get married at all. Or maybe I'd wait around until my parents arranged something for me, which I guess they did.
Jane, you're killing me.
Fernanda says, standing at the top of the stairs. I didn't realize how slowly I was moving. I rush upstairs and we head into my room. I sit on my bed while she takes a small chair next to my cramped desk. I finally kick off my shoes and slide the messenger bag off of my shoulders.
Tell me everything,
she says. My heart sinks. I wish I could tell her everything. More than ever, I need her advice. Well, he's cute. A lot cuter in person than in picture. And he's really nice.
Show me.
What? On my phone? I didn't take a picture, I say.
Jane, really? What are you, 45? How do you go on a date and not take one picture with the guy?
I was distracted, okay? Anyway, we went to this game shop that he likes. You'd probably like it too. There's a million board games, I say.
Oh, did you guys play Catan?
Fernanda asks. No, what is with you in that game? We played chess.
Oh. Huh.
It was fun. I mean, I'm not that good at chess, but I wasn't really paying attention to the game. We just talked.
And?
Fernanda asked, leaning forward on the chair. And we went to dinner, and then I went with him to his house, I say.
Jane, how scandalous.
Fernanda says with feigned disapproval. I didn't go in, I say, rolling my eyes. We said goodnight, and then I came here.
That's it? No hug, no kiss?
I got his number, I say with a shrug.
Not bad.
Fernanda says thoughtfully.
Actually, that's really good for you. You got through a whole date without making it awkward or panicking partway through and leaving. I'm super proud of you, Jane.
Gee, thanks.
Are you going to see him again?
The question slams me with a sudden rush of excitement and fear and yearning all at once. I'm not used to that feeling, and my face betrays me by spreading a big, goopy smile across my face. I think so. Fernanda and I talk for a little while longer. She drills me on the finer details of the date, which was tricky because I kept dodging what we talked about and how to account for the time I spent punching jackals. She didn't seem to notice oddities, or at least she didn't seem to care. The extended family leaves at 10. Daniel takes Hannah home at 10:30. Fernanda leaves at 11:30. And now I'm completely spent. Too much food, too much fighting, too much worrying, and too much talking about boys. The fatigue of the day crashes into my body all at once. I'd hoped to take a shower, but now all I want to do is slide into bed and fall into a coma. I'm about to do just that when my mom knocks on the door and walks in. Sorry I ruined the proposal, I say immediately. She waves it off.
It wasn't ruined. It was exactly the sort of thing that would happen in our family.
That's a good point. It's going to be busy around here with a wedding in the works, I say.
It's always busy around here. Enough of Daniel. How was your meeting?
I don't answer right away. I had been immediately furious at my dad, but my feeling about my mom's involvement are a little muddled. On the one hand, she obviously went along with the plan to marry me off, and that makes me angry. But she's from South Korea and grew up in a pretty traditional home, so sometimes her viewpoints don't always line up with the American way of doing things. And she did fight to reduce my commitment to one meeting, which meant she had considered my feelings. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be mad at my mom or not, but I'm too tired for anger, so I decide to drop it. It was fine, I say.
How is he?
He's nice. He's funny. A little hard on himself. Kind of moody, but I guess I would be too if my major life decisions were made for me. I hadn't meant to make it a jab, but my mom shifts on the bed.
Your father was supposed to talk to you about this long ago. He kept putting it off, and I'm sorry he sprung it on you so late.
I'm not upset about the timing. I'm upset about the situation. Why?
The clan needed someone, and you were all they had available.
She sighs.
But it still could have been something we talked to you about and prepared you for. You could have at least talked to the clan leaders or had the chance to come to the same understanding about the duty of the clan. But your father was so worried at making you upset. He kept putting it off.
I stare at my lap instead of answering.
Your uncle.
My uncle bullies Dad. He should stand up to him, I interrupt.
Your uncle is clan leader. It's not that easy.
My mom says. I know, I say.
So, Andrew's sort of cute, isn't he?
Oma.
Come now, Jane. I'm old. I'm not blind. I wouldn't have agreed to it if he wasn't a suitable match. He is attractive enough. He has good grades. He's connected to the spirit world in one of the most prestigious ways possible. And the child you had would be the next guardian, which would be a great honor and adventure.
Adventure?
Yes, adventure. Raising children is hard enough, but then you have to teach them to be the protector of the world.
I hadn't thought of that. I guess that was kind of an adventure, but an adventure wouldn't be enough to make me consider whether or not I'd date or marry a person. The only thing that can do that is Andrew. Andrew. I think I want to see him again, I admit in the tiniest voice possible. My mom smiles.
Your obligations to the clan are complete, but it makes me glad to hear that.
She leans in and hugs me tight. I hug her back.
Don't have sex before you're married.
Oma,
Do things the right way or don't do them at all. I'll see you in the morning.
she says with an air of finality and shuts the door behind her. At last, I lean back into bed. I thought I'd be asleep immediately, but I can't help but think about Andrew. Did he want to see me again? The way he was talking before the jackals attacked made me think maybe he didn't. But then again, he might have been trying to save me. I don't know. But I have no way of finding that out unless I keep talking to him and dating him. And I have no idea how to do that. There are no Harut clan dating techniques, so that's left only one thing to do. Text him in the morning. I labored over what to text him for hours. Hey is what I settled for. It turns out I'm not a very good texter, which I kind of knew. I didn't know what emojis to use or how to interpret the tone of his voice or his words. Everything seemed cold and distant to me. For example, I started with, "How was your night?"
Okay.
He wrote back,
How was yours?
"I accidentally ruined my brother's proposal."
Oh, that's unfortunate.
He wrote. She still said yes, though. It'll just be one of those funny stories that gets told through the family now.
Sure, family legends like that are important.
He wrote back. Family legends like that are important. The heck is that supposed to mean? Is he making fun of me? Is this just how he talks in text form because he's too smart for his own good? Or maybe he's just being polite. Or is he trying to blow me off? Ugh. This is when I need the expertise of someone like Fernanda. But I can't figure out how to ask her for help without being drowned in it. And without accidentally letting something from the spirit world slip. I didn't want to have to censor my text to Andrew just because I don't want the subtext difference between a pink heart and a red heart emoji. The most frustrating thing was that sexy, flirty, witty Jane didn't seem to exist on the phone. She only seemed to show up in person when I was least expecting it. She was like the Hulk, except for love instead of smashing. What would that be? Love Hulk? Lulk? Jane Hulk? Julk? Julk smash? No. Wait. Julk love? Well, since Julk only shows up in person, I might as well help her along. I pull out my phone during third period and text. Want to hang out later?
Sure.
He replies immediately.
I'll pick you up after school.
I let out a sigh of relief and put my phone away. Fernanda sighs, looking sad.
Oh, sorry, am I reading it? Oh, found it. Got it. Okay. Whoop. I'm really bummed out that you would rather struggle away than ask me for my tech expertise.
Baby Bird has to fly with her own two wings, right? I suggest.
Sorry, Suma's acting up for some reason. Well, that's a good point, but now I get to call you Baby Bird.
Damn it. Jane, says a geometry teacher. I snap up. Sorry, Mrs. Chiappa.
Sorry, you're not in trouble. It's just a note from the office. Calm down.
Everyone laughs in a grimace. I get my bag, rush up to the front, and crumple the note in my hands before heading down to the main office, which was a mistake because I didn't realize I was walking into a trap.
Hello, Jane. We didn't get to finish our conversation yesterday.
Mrs. Carter calls out from her office door. I hastily unwrap the note, see that's from her, and inwardly moan. I should have checked before walking down here. I can't talk right now, Mrs. Carter. I'm actually here for something else, I say. I look around the room frantically, hoping to see the principal or another teacher or anyone else I could use as an excuse.
Oh, what's that?
There's no one else here except for a tall Indian guy wearing a backpack. He's standing there at the office counter, looking a little bewildered. Hey, are you the new guy? I ask. When he looks over to me, his eyes widen. Crap, he's not new. He must be in another grade or just someone I don't know. I widen my eyes, pleading with him as much as I can with my face to just go with it.
Yeah, I am.
He says. His voice is smooth and mellow. Staring at him, I realize he's really good looking. Black curly hair that falls to the base of his neck, a neatly trimmed goatee, well-defined jaws and features. He puts off this yoga master surfer dude enlightened person vibe. The puka shell necklace and the simple black gouges in the earlobe suggest the same thing. I'm Jane. I'm part of the welcome committee, I say, sticking my hand out. Let's get you settled. I'll see you later, Mrs. Carter. Just got to do my school duties. Build up that college transcript, you know. Before she can answer, I pulled the hot Indian guy out into the front. I let out a breath of relief. That was close, I say.
You didn't want to talk to her?
No, not exactly.
Is she that bad?
Nah, not really. I just don't feel like answering 100 questions about my future. We stand there for a second.
So are you, you gonna show me around or?
Oh, crap, right. I'm not actually part of the welcome committee, but I can help you out if you need it. Are you actually new?
Yeah, today's my first day.
We start walking down a path, and I gesture to a few things, giving him a general overview of the campus. He nods and grunts here and there. And over here is a small quad. It's nice. These trees are actually Chinese plum blossoms, and they bloom with those beautiful white flowers once a year.
Oh, like an anime.
Those are cherry blossoms, but similar. Just think a white version of that.
It sounds kind of romantic.
Yeah, many a prom proposal or love confessions have been done under these trees.
You ever do it?
Me? I look at the hot Indian guy. I'm not sure why, but I feel compelled to tell him the one story I have about the small quad. Maybe it's Julk doing her, let's be honest, an interesting routine. Or maybe I don't want to carry this stupid story around with me anymore. Yeah, I did. 2 years ago in 9th grade.
Ooh, how'd it go?
Terrible. He was super cute. His name was Tristan. I had been crushing on him all year, pretty much since the moment I saw him, actually. But I never spoke to him, not even once. One time in science, we were lab partners, and I didn't say a single word to him. I ended up doing the whole project just so I wouldn't have to talk, and so he wouldn't be mad about getting a bad grade.
Sounds like you were pretty smitten.
He says. Painfully so. My friend Fernanda convinced me to just let it all out. Maybe she thought I was too obsessed with him, or maybe she genuinely thought I had a chance, but I don't know. But on the day the plum blossoms were blooming, I had his friend bring him over. I had a sign, his favorite soda, and a stupid romantic song playing on my phone.
What'd the sign say?
He says, "Tristan, be mine." Ugh.
What'd he do?
He pointed and laughed. I hear my voice break. I'm surprised, honestly. It was 2 years ago, and I thought I had put that day behind me. But it was still deep inside me, waiting to come out, and strangled me with all over again. He kept laughing until all his friends did too. Within the hour, most of the class knew about it. By the next day, there were memes about it all over school.
Oh, that's horrible.
He says. It was pretty rough, but it happens. We all get bullied sometimes. Gotta have pain to appreciate the lack of pain, right?
But what happened to Tristan?
He moved away at the end of the year. People forgot about it like a week, though. I don't even think he thought about it. It's just a Tuesday to him. I find myself sitting down on a bench. The same bench I had put my phone on to play the song 2 years ago. I had avoided the small quad for 2 years. It's strange sitting in it again, but also kind of freeing. I should have come here a long time ago. It's good to talk about it. Hot Indian guy narrows his eyes and sits next to me.
You really don't recognize me, do you?
Huh?
Ugh, I thought you were just screwing with me, but you actually don't realize who I am.
He says. And then I do. It's like a snap in my mind, like a spell or an illusion is lifted. 1 second it's hot Indian guy, but now that I'm looking at him, I see it. Hot Indian guy is Tristan. Oh crap, not again. I say, covering my face.
Hey, it's okay. I know I've changed a lot. I grew 8 inches since 9th grade. A lot of my own family doesn't even recognize me these days.
You got tall and strong and, well, hot,
Thanks.
he says.
And of course, we had actually assigned Tristan, everyone, to Nicole. So we're going to swap out Kerrick for Nicole. And that's why Jane or Autumn didn't recognize him in the first place.
Sorry, what was the last line that was just read?
Thanks, he says. Not that you weren't good looking before, but that was like cute. Now you're hot,
I'll be sure to note that on my college transcripts.
he says with a grin. Why didn't you tell me?
Like I said, I thought you were screwing with me. I thought this was some elaborate revenge for 9th grade. I figured Fernanda was going to come out any second with a paintball gun in her phone to record my humiliation.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to make it sound so dramatic.
You were wrong about one thing, though. I did think about that day, and I have thought about it a lot since then. Back then, I was a punk. I was arrogant and self-centered. I spent a lot of time over the last few years trying to make myself into a better person. I still have a ways to go, but I do know that I am deeply ashamed of how I treated you back then. You were being sincere, and it made me insecure in that moment, and I was cruel. I'm sorry.
It was surprising how much an apology can actually heal. Well, that's okay. We were dumb 9th graders,
I'd like to start over, and maybe to make it up to you at some point.
he says. Okay, yeah. I like to get to know you again. I mean, it's been 2 years, right? Where did you go anyways?
Lots of places. San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, Santa Fe. My dad was doing the startup thing, trying to create his tech company and get it off the ground. I went to 4 high schools in 2 years, so I spent a lot of time alone. I guess that's what got me on the introspection thing.
Sounds tough, I say.
It wasn't all bad, and it wasn't all good, like most things in life.
Deep, I say. He shrugs, a little embarrassed.
I try. Hey, you busy after school today?
No. I pull out my phone automatically and see the new text from Andrew asking where he should pick me up. Shoot, actually, I am. Sorry, another time?
Definitely.
he says with a smile.
Thanks for giving me another chance, Jane.
Yeah, you too. The bell rings as if on cue, and the doors all around us open to let students spill out. He nods and walks into the crowd. You too. Ugh, that doesn't even make sense. Come on, joke. You gotta show up when I actually need you. My head is still spinning. You would think with the number of insane things that had happened to me in the last few days that this wouldn't faze me. But I didn't expect Tristan, of all people, to come back into my life. I couldn't think about that right now. I have to shove Tristan as far back into my psyche as possible, because Andrew is going to be here any second. I mean, I wasn't going to believe Tristan, right? He couldn't have changed that much. He was the one that brought up elaborate pranks. That's what this is. Suddenly showing up after 2 years and getting me to relive my worst memory with another elaborate prank. Except that doesn't make sense, because my disaster confession wasn't a prank. He just said no and laughed at me when I asked. And even though Tristan claims to have thought about it over the last 2 years, I don't think ninth grade Tristan gave it another thought. It doesn't make sense that he would try to prank me. I'm starting to think about my self-esteem as more damaged than I realize.
Jane.
Andrew calls, which pulls me out of my reverie. Andrew is sticking his head out of the driver's side window of a dull silver Lexus. I pop open the passenger and fall in.
Hey.
He says. He squints his eyes and checks his mirror 3 times, all while the turn signal clicks away. Hey, thanks for...
Hold on.
He says. I wait while he pulls into traffic and navigates us out of the crowded pickup line in front of my school.
Sorry, go ahead.
A very careful driver. I'm not sure how to rate that. I guess that's a positive. Driving skills aren't something I think about in a potential boyfriend-husband. I just wanted to say thanks for picking me up, I say.
No problem.
How come we didn't drive yesterday?
I don't know. We were going to meet at the school. I wasn't sure what was going to happen or where we were going to end up. I didn't want my car stuck in the student parking lot. I mean, what if you would come to pick me up?
I don't have a car.
Oh. Well, still, I don't know that.
Good point. Where are we going? I ask.
Wherever you want is fine, but I can't stay out too late. I have homework.
Sure, I probably do too,
Probably.
he says, suspicious. I'll ask some people later. They always tell me what's due.
You weren't kidding last night when you said you were average at school.
Yeah. I suddenly feel deeply self-conscious. Sorry.
No, I didn't mean that. Like,
Andrew's face gets red and his mouth twists around as if he can't get control of his words. It's fine. I get it. But is that like a deal breaker? I asked.
this morning I had a substitute for AP Calculus, so we had to go to the second floor. I was out of breath by the time I got to the top of the stairs.
He says, glancing over at me.
I have so little athletic ability that I'm defeated by stairs. Is that a deal breaker for you?
I laugh. No, not at all. The light changes and we start driving again. I feel the same. In fact, I would argue that it's superior tactical advantage for a couple to have complementary strengths.
I can see that.
What's that? Andrew slams the brake. The tires squeal and I instinctively catch myself on the dashboard. A dog walks along the sidewalk sniffing at a patch of grass. It's a pretty big dog, I think a Labrador with gold fur. A man's voice calls out and the dog perks up his head and runs off. Nice reflexes, I say, though I'm not sure that the dog was going to run into the street. I look over at Andrew. He has a death grip on the steering wheel and he's gone completely pale. His mouth and eyes are wide open. Oh, I understand. He thought it was a jackal. Damn. Here I was worrying about first impressions and the return of Tristan and our dating compatibility. Punching spirits is so routine to me that I hardly thought about the jackals. But Andrew is spooked. Really spooked. Hey, Andrew, it's okay, just a regular dog.
Yeah, it was.
I can see that he's embarrassed. He keeps driving, though his breathing is a lot quicker now. Hey, if you have a lot of homework, maybe we should just hang out at your house. Is that okay?
Are you sure that's not lame?
No, not at all. I'm a pretty low-key girl.
Okay, if you're sure.
I am. He's immensely relieved, and I can tell right away. I remembered that he said his house was somehow protected. It was sweet of him to risk life and sanity to have a date with me, but I didn't want him jumping at every shadow. Besides, with all the chaos of the impromptu engagement party, I had completely forgotten to tell my dad what happened. I tell him now, but the clan is really quirky about using modern communication to talk about spirit things. Texting and email were the worst since they left trail. Phone calls were a little bit better, but only if it was a major problem. Basically, unless it was an emergency, they wanted you to either send a paper note or tell them in person. I'd have to wait, so getting Andrew back to his house is the safest option. He parks in the street in front of his house, and we climb out of the car. He opens the gate to the white picket fence and holds it open for me. He shuts the door behind me, and I feel like something closes. The flow of spiritual energy has shifted somehow, like we're sealed off from the rest of the world. It must be the protective barrier around his house.
Hungry?
He says when we pass through the marble-floored foyer and into the fancy designer kitchen. Pretty much always. You gotta make me one of those bachelor boxes?
I was thinking more like pizza bagels.
Food is food. We set to work cooking it. If you can call dumpling frozen bagels onto a cookie sheet cooking. While they're baking, Andrew pulls out books, notebooks, and a very slim laptop. He then pulls out an agenda with a color-coded to-do list. Yikes, that's a lot of homework, I say, peeking over at his to-do list.
It's mostly procedural stuff. If you keep yourself organized, it's not so bad. Just do a little every day. Except my AP Lit essay. I'm behind on that.
Finally, something I can relate to. Yeah, I usually put essays off too.
Right? I mean, if I get so into it that I can't get anything else done until that essay is perfect, you know?
Okay, so maybe I can't relate. You're good at English?
It's my favorite, if I'm honest. I love taking abstract ideas, making them into something concrete, transmitting those experiences and ideas and dreams and feelings in a way that can make other people feel them. Have you ever seen that shirt, the one that says, "By reading this, I'm controlling your mind"? It's so true.
I'm really bad at English, I say as the oven timers beeps. I retrieve the pizza bagel and sweep them from their cookie sheet onto a plate to let them cool,
I could help you.
he says. I doubt it.
No, really, I can. I mean, if you want.
Well, it wasn't the most romantic of dates, but what could it hurt? I was behind on a few things. I guess. I don't want to take advantage of you, though. I'm supposed to be writing this essay on the Great Gatsby.
Oh, that's fine. I read that last year.
Geez, they made you study that in 10th grade?
Oh, no, I read it for fun.
We eat pizza bagels and I outline my essay. So basically, I say, the book is about rich, sad people and how sad they are, and how rich they are, and how being rich doesn't make them any less sad. Andrew laughs.
I never thought about it like that before, but pretty much.
Thanks for helping me with this outline, I say, tucking the paper back into my binder. I think I might actually understand what's going on for once,
Anytime you need help, let me know.
he says. I stand up to stretch. Then I jump about 3 inches off the ground, startled. The music is blasting from outside the house, but it's loud enough that it seems like it's coming from the same room. Wow, that is loud, I say. Why are your neighbors blasting Melody Starlight?
That's not my neighbors.
Andrew says with a sigh.
That's my grandfather.
Your grandfather? The 160th guardian?
Yeah, sorry, hold on.
Andrew heads for the back door, and I follow. His backyard, like mine, has a pool, except his is huge and has nice brick borders and silvery blue tiling on the bottom, and a gorgeous hot tub that overflows into a waterfall. Our pool is a square slab of training water. His is luxury. There's a pool house which is where the music's coming from. We walk over and Andrew pounds on the door.
Grandpa, what are you doing?
The door swings open. The 160th Guardian is a dark-skinned old man with a wiry build. He's wearing a tank top and sweatpants and has a pointy beard on the end of his chin and gray spiky hair. His tank top is black with gold lettering that reads Starlight Songs and Melodies, which is the name of Melody Starlight's first album. He's holding a tablet and is mashing icons on it at random. Andrew snatches the tablet from him, taps a few times, and the music stops.
Oh, there it is. Sorry, I couldn't figure out the dang true booth.
Bluetooth.
I know what I said.
He turns and looks straight at me, and then says in perfect Korean,
Greetings, young Haruk warrior.
I must have looked shocked because he laughs and slaps his knee.
Come on now, don't be so surprised. I was the guardian during the Korean War. I picked up a phrase or two. My name is Archer Lee, 160th Guardian of the Two Worlds, but you can just call me Grandpa because that's what the world sees me as now. Just a useless grandpa who can't even operate a true booth.
Bluetooth.
Quiet,
says,
boy. Don't sass me in front of your fiance. Now, where was I? Ah, yes, you know that there were two Haruk Guardians in the line, don't you? The 81st and the 102nd. So that means we're part Korean. Of course, the Guardian line has had every race, nationality, ethnicity, heritage, what have you in it at some point. So we're part everything, a true representative of all human mortals.
Grandpa, she knows who you are, and you don't have to do the grandstanding.
Andrew says, his embarrassment colored by his amusement.
You know, I find myself parched. Why don't you run in and get me some iced tea?
Don't you have some in your refrigerator?
Andrew says.
I'm out. Go get some from the house.
Archer Lee says, giving his grandson a rough push. Andrew stumbles a little, but heads back into the house. I turn to follow when I feel Archer's hand land on my shoulder.
A quick word, if you don't mind, Jane.
I nod and follow him into the pool house. The outside of the pool house matches Andrew's house perfectly, but the inside of it looks as if it were from another time. The furniture is pretty old, maybe even antique, with lots of really interesting wood tables and chairs. The walls are lined with tons of pictures. First black and white, then that faded 1970s color, then some more modern ones. Most of the newer ones feature family. The older ones are full of random people that must be important. There are also plenty of interesting weapons on the wall, which is what drew my attention. I'm looking at a beautiful sandambong, a 3-section staff, when Archer motions me over to one of those tables.
Ah, you have good taste. That weapon was a gift straight from Korea.
He gestures to the photograph, a black and white one that showed a very young archer in a military uniform, standing smiling with a Korean man in a similar uniform. The sandambong is between them.
Korea was a hell of a conflict. Nothing compared to World War II, but still pretty bad.
You fought in World War II?
Oh, yes?
He gestures to another picture of an even younger archer, still wearing a military uniform.
They call my daughter the Hunter Guardian, but I was more of a soldier. War was everywhere during my time as Guardian, so I guess a soldier was as good a role to take as any. It changed my time, changed by the time Vietnam passed. Humans got sneakier in their ways to kill each other. So did the malevolent spirits involved.
Spirits caused those wars?
Oh, no, but they helped. And many spirits were born from the atrocities that humans created. Remember, the spirit world and the mortal world are echoes of each other. What happens in one affects the other. Malevolent forces in the spirit world can spark new hatred and conflict in the mortal world. And atrocities in our world creates evil spirits. I was pretty busy back then.
He says. Wait, you saw World War II through Vietnam. I strain hard to remember my history. That means you must be
old. Very old.
You don't look it. You look like, I don't know, maybe late 60s?
It's a side benefit of the job. Even though most of the guardian power leaves to the next generation, a little bit lingers in you, gives you a little bit of extra lifespan, and the three powers usually stick around. And actually, that's what I want to talk to you about. Andrew says you were attacked by jackal spirits.
Yes, we were. I took care of them. Well, one of them, the others ran off.
I see.
Archer becomes very grim, his graggy face heavy with the weight of all those wars.
Did Andrew seem to be aware of it? Prepared? Did he know what they were?
No, I don't think so. I felt it. I got us moving, but I think he was surprised. Archer lets out a long, long sigh.
You see, Jane, the Guardian has to change from generation to generation. Once Vietnam was over and the Cold War started, the Guardian needed to be something different. It was right around that time my daughter turned 16 and started gaining the power for herself. She had to deal with the Cold War, the nuclear threats, the puppet wars in the Middle East, and the birth of the internet. The world has shifted a lot in the last 30 years, and with it, there have been some major shifts in the spirit world. A hunter is what's needed to find that which would cause the most destruction in both worlds, and to end it, I couldn't do the job she does.
I nod, trying to wrap my head around it. So, whatever Andrew's skills and powers are won't be like his mom's, I say.
Exactly, it changes. But there are three abilities that are constant: the sensing of spiritual energy, immunity to spiritual deceptions, and the ability to communicate with any spirit. Those are the first abilities that manifest. But if he doesn't seem to know the attack was coming,
Then he doesn't have them, I say.
maybe, maybe not. There's a reason Andrew doesn't want to be guardian, Jane. And I don't think it has anything to do with independence. Something happened to him a few years ago.
What? I ask.
I think that's a story he needs to tell you himself. What I will say is there are two possibilities. The first is that the guardian power hasn't transferred to him. The second is that it has, but he's blocking it.
Is it possible to block it? I mean, the Guardian has a lot of power. That seems...
There's no such thing as impossible when it comes to the Guardian's power. It's the hardest lesson to learn as a Guardian. You think you have your powers under control, and all of a sudden you find you can do something else. It's a tremendous responsibility. So yes, it's possible that he's blocking it. He's the Guardian after all.
Archer says. I take a deep breath and look back at the house. Could the cute boy with the kind heart really be suppressing the most powerful energy in the two worlds? What happened to him that would make him want to do that?
You'll keep an eye on him for me?
Archer asks. Anything for the revered 160th Guardian.
Flattery will get you everywhere. In fact, I think you need a weapon. Hold on a second.
My eyes widen and my heart flutters as he passes the dambong. But then he passes it entirely and sticks his hand in a drawer and comes back with a small red roll. When I take it, it unfurls down to the floor. A ribbon? The ribbon is made of plain red silk and is about 4 inches wide. It reminds me more of a bandage than a ribbon, but delicate and beautiful.
A very powerful spiritual weapon. It can bind enemies in a physical and metaphorical sense.
How does it work?
Oh, just give it a few swings. You'll figure it out.
The pool house door opens and Andrew shuffles in with a large glass pitcher.
Sorry, we didn't have any more, so I had to brew some fresh. He's not bothering you with old stories, is he?
We were bonding over Melody Starlight.
Archer says, pointing at his shirt. I slip the ribbon into my pocket.
Grandpa, you've never liked her music ever. What's the deal?
Things change, Andrew. Things change.
After our conversation with Archer, we go back inside and do homework until my brain can't take it anymore. Let's take a break, I say. Andrew looks longingly over at his stack of books.
Oh, come on. Is there anything in that pile due tomorrow? Oh.
Come on. Is there anything in that pile due tomorrow? I ask.
No.
Then it's break time,
All right.
he says. We stack up his books.
I'm going to take these to my room.
He says. I can help. I want to see your room anyway. We look at each other for a long moment. Not like that, I blurt, finally realizing what I said. Andrew laughs and leads me upstairs. His room is pretty much what I expected. A bed, a desk, 2 huge bookshelves filled with books, and a small TV with a couple of game consoles plugged into it. He sets his laptop on the desk and plugs it in, then neatly arranges the rest of his school papers and notebooks. Is your room always this clean? I ask.
Pretty much. Clutter stresses me out. Sometimes I clean just to relax.
He says. I wish I were like that, I say, thinking about the hill of laundry that was currently occupying my desk, and all of my desk stuff was currently on my bed. Maybe I should just sleep in the closet and complete the circle. He sits down on his bed. I was tired of sitting, so I do a few passive stretches. There's always time to keep limber.
Hey, Jane.
Andrew says. I feel a little jolt when he says my name. I don't know why. It wasn't like he said it in a sexy or seductive way, but I like it. I like the way it sounds coming from him. Yeah?
Thanks for saving my life yesterday. I don't know if I properly thanked you.
He says. Oh, yeah, sure, no big deal.
It is a big deal. I thought a lot about it, and had you not been there, well, I wouldn't be here.
The jackal's really have you worried, huh? I ask. He nods and looks away from me as if ashamed. I sit on the desk chair and slide myself closer to him.
That's stupid, right? I'm supposed to be the all-powerful guardian of the 2 worlds. Spirits like that shouldn't even be a problem. But I can't help it. When I see spirits, I freeze up.
He says. I used to freeze up all the time too. I wasn't even facing spirits. It was just training dummies, I say.
Really?
Yeah, I was like little. I was like 7, and I was supposed to be demonstrating a combination we had been working on for a week. I walked up to the dummy with everyone staring at me and I choked. The worst part was that as soon as class was over, I walked right up to that dummy and did the combination perfectly, like 5 times. I sigh at 7-year-old Jane, wishing she had a little bit more courage. Andrew smiles for just a second.
That's funny, but it's also different. You at least know what you're doing. I don't have a clue. And I know I haven't made it any easier for myself by completely rejecting my mom's attempts to teach me. I just thought, I don't know, if I were so bad at it, that somehow I wouldn't have to do it. I never imagined that they'd come up with this.
He says, gesturing to the 2 of us. He takes a deep breath and shuts his eyes.
I wish I were in better control of my life. Spirits make me panic. But I feel like I'm always on edge. I constantly worry. I think about the worst possible thing that can happen and dwell on it. When something doesn't go wrong, I just figure I got lucky, and when it does go wrong, I feel vindicated. It sucks.
He opens his eyes and looks down. I follow his gaze only to realize that at some point during this conversation, we had started holding hands. I'm not sure who initiated it, but I like the feel of his fingers around mine.
Sorry, I barely know you and I'm dumping all this on you.
No, it's fine. I'm glad you feel comfortable enough to be honest with me, I say.
I've never been able to talk to someone about the spirit stuff before. You know, at least not without worrying about what my mom or grandpa are going to say.
Me too, I say. And that was the truth. I have lots of family and clan members, but it wasn't always so easy to talk about how I feel about it. Heck, Andrew is the first person to know I wanted to be Harukai Juni. That's something I would never share with the rest of my family or my clan without causing a lot of drama. We lock eyes, our fingers tighten. My heart is pounding. There's something quietly exhilarating about Andrew. Maybe it's his passion for academics. Maybe it's the depth of his feelings. Maybe I'm just into curly hair. The moment breaks. Andrew slips his hand out of mine and reaches for his phone. I check mine too. No messages, but it's getting late. I should go, I say.
Yeah, I'll walk you out.
We go downstairs. I pick up my bag and school stuff, double checking that I have my Andrew approved essay outline. We linger at his front doorstep.
Thanks for coming over.
He says. I had fun,
Mm,
I say.
And thanks for listening to me.
Yeah, never mind, this might be stupid,
Oh, tell me.
he says. My brother Peter has anxiety. It was really bad for him in high school, especially at the beginning of his junior year. But then in the second half, he figured it all out. When I asked him about it, he told me that instead of wishing he didn't have anxiety or trying to shut it off, he made it his ally. He said he learned to use its benefit. Andrew nods thoughtfully, but he doesn't say anything. Sorry, maybe that was dumb, I say.
No, not at all. I like that a lot, actually.
Cool, I say, smiling. He smiles back. We stand there smiling at each other.
Wanna hang out tomorrow?
He asks. Yeah, that'd be fun,
Oh, sorry about my grandpa, by the way.
he says. Don't be. I like him. Will I meet your dad tomorrow?
I don't know. His work is always unpredictable, but I think so.
I like that too, I say. Then I have a horrifying thought. You'll probably want to meet my family at some point. That'll be tough. Andrew laughs.
I'm sure they can't be as weird as my grandpa.
You'd be surprised.
I'm ready for it. Just pick a time.
How about now?
A voice calls out from the sidewalk. I spin around, my chest filled with a combination of horror and embarrassment. Standing on the sidewalk next to his car is Henry. Henry parked right in front of the house and is sauntering up to the gate, like the villain of an old Western.
So, you're interested in my sister, huh? I should warn you, she's well protected.
Henry, stop! I sigh.
4 brothers, 4 of us. The other 3 aren't as badass as me, but they can still hold you down while I kick your teeth in if you hurt my sister.
It was at this point that Henry reached the gate and was going to fling it open dramatically and stride into the yard. But the gate doesn't open. Instead, he slams his waist into the pointed wood slates and is thrown to the ground with an unexpected force. I glance at Andrew.
Ouch. He set off for the wards.
Andrew says with a wince.
Is he gonna be okay?
I'm sure it's fine. Thanks for today. Text you later. Bye. I rush, pushing Andrew back into his own house and closing the front door. I storm over to the gate, fling it open, and glare at Henry. He gets up. The hell are you doing here? I demand.
I should ask you the same thing. Why are you sneaking around with a boy? How long have you been seeing him? Does Amma know?
This catches me off guard. If Henry's asking if Mom knows, that meant he doesn't know about the guardian marriage date contract thing. What the hell am I supposed to do about that? On the one hand, nobody said I couldn't tell him. On the other hand, it would be nice to have some space and keep my brothers out of my dating life. I don't know what the right answer is, so I decide to go with a classic little sister maneuver. Ugh, stop, stay out of my life, leave me alone. I push past him and open his car door, falling into the back seat. He gets into the driver's seat, slamming the door.
What the hell, Jane? This isn't like you, going around lying. I should tell Amma.
Go ahead, I say, crossing my arms in defiance. This catches him off guard. His eyes narrow as he thinks about this response. The thing you have to understand is that Henry has to be better than me at everything. Since he and I are the bottom 2 of the Choi children, he's had the same burning impatience and irritation that I always did. The others got to do things we never could. We always had more chores than the others. We were never quite taken as seriously as the other 3. The difference is that he had one person to boss around, me, and he was still a brother, and thus one of the boys. I think Henry always felt the most isolated, even though I've always thought that was me. Each sibling probably feels that they have the worst position. The bigger problem is that life hasn't gone Henry's way for the last couple of years. His GPA prevented him from getting into a 4-year college. I didn't see anything wrong about going to community college, but Henry did. So now him being better than me was extremely important to him. I think it's the last piece of his self-esteem. So I let him beat me and insult me and put me down and be an arrogant, superior person. Often, maybe too often. But I don't have the patience for it today,
Why don't you care if Amma knows?
he says. 'Cause she already knows. That's the guardian, I say, pointing at the house.
Him?
The next guardian genius,
Why are you hanging out with the next guardian?
he asked. Because the clan council asked me to. This is extra cruel of me. Henry so badly wants to be taken seriously by the clan council. I think he might also want to be a Harukai Juni, though we've never talked about it. Henry could probably do it. The official battle ranking among the choice siblings is that Daniel is the best and Peter is the worst, and the last of us fight for second place. 2 years ago, I would have said that James was equal, if not better, to Daniel, but he's fallen off his training, and so it was down to me and Henry. And honestly, Henry is like Daniel. He's extremely talented as a martial artist and a soul fist practitioner, but he only uses talent. Daniel works hard to refine his talent, and like everything in his life, Henry doesn't try that hard in his training. So the idea that the clan would ask me to do something with the next guardian over him was probably shaking him up. Of course, the clan had asked me because of biology, not because of battle prowess. But Henry didn't have to know that.
Why?
He asked, looking as if that was the stupidest idea he's ever heard. I shrug. If you want to know, you can ask Alma or Dad. I buckle my seat back. Where are we going?
Training center.
He grumbles, starting his car. Perfect, I say. If Henry did ask my mom or dad, he'd find the truth, and he'd get his self-satisfaction back. But for at least the length of a car ride, I had one. Fight for me, I sing under my breath. It's half an hour before school starts, and I'm sitting in the cafeteria with Fernanda. We're both sipping at high-end coffees that she bought from this boutique cafe she loves. Well, she's sipping. I've been telling her the story about Tristan.
Wow. Tristan's back. And he's into you.
Fernanda says. He is not.
Oh, he totally is. I mean, he's probably into some idealized version of you that he's created over the last 2 years from memories based on regret, but he's still into you.
Thanks? Wait, is that an insult?
I'm just saying, those are some strong vibes for somebody who hasn't seen you in 2 years.
You see vibes like you were there. She shrugs.
I mean, maybe he was just being nice. You said he seemed different, spiritual or enlightened or something, right?
Yeah. He might honestly be trying to make amends for the past. Maybe I'm reading into it because, I don't know, I want to.
Because you still have feelings for him?
It's been 2 years, as you like to keep pointing out. And as you love to point out, I didn't really know him in the first place, I say.
It's cute that you think emotions are logical.
Fernanda says, smirking. Fine. I don't know how I feel. I was surprised. And he looks really good, even better than he did before. And he was really nice. And I wouldn't mind getting to know him again. If the situation were different, I think I would have ended up going out with him last night.
Except the situation is different, and you already had a date. So come on, spill the tea. I need to know what happened with Andrew.
I take a big gulp of coffee, hoping to hide my big grin. It doesn't work.
Oh my gosh, you had a good date, didn't you?
Fernanda says, clapping her hands together.
Come on, tell me the whole thing.
I do, and Fernanda continues to sip. This isn't fair. I'm hardly getting a chance to drink this awesome coffee. It's going to be cold by the time I'm done sharing my love life. It was quiet, but real nice. Was that a boring date?
It's not boring if you have fun. Low-key is fine. It can't be all roses and candles and fireworks. The point of relationships is that you eventually do life together. Life has a level of mundanity to it. And if you aren't comfortable doing mundane with another person, then it's not a good fit.
Huh. I never thought of it like that, I say.
But there should be some roses and candles and fireworks. I know it's only been 2 dates, but I hope he steps his game up soon. When are you seeing him again?
Today, I say, rapidly taking another gulp of coffee, trying once again to hide my smile. He's picking me up after school.
Ooh, perfect. I can meet him.
Oh.
I'm meeting him, Jane. There is no discussion about this. I'm your best friend. I need to make sure he's good for you.
The idea makes me nervous, though I'm not really sure why. Maybe it was years of keeping the spirit side of my life separate from the rest of it. No, that wasn't it. I'm just nervous she isn't going to like him. Okay, I say. Now, isn't there anything else we can talk about other than my love life?
Want to talk about our futures, GPAs, college applications, or upcoming geometry test?
Never mind, I say.
Ooh, Alexis. Dating rich Jane. Very smart.
I roll my eyes. It's the end of the school day, and Andrew has just pulled up to the curb. When he spots Fernanda, he stops the car and steps out. Hi, I say.
Oh, hey.
He says. He immediately reaches his hand out towards Fernanda.
I'm Andrew.
Fernanda.
She says. They shake hands, while Fernanda makes a very obvious inspection of him. He's smiling, but it's awkward. Geez, he's not a cow at the county fair, Fernanda,
Sorry, just gotta make sure my best friend is dating someone of quality.
she says, smiling sweetly at Andrew.
Are you going to threaten me too?
Andrew says. He sounds like he's joking, but after what Henry did, I think he might be a little serious,
No way, do you see these nails?
she says, holding up her hands. Andrew laughs, and I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. I'll see you later, I say. She leans in to give me a hug and to whisper in my ears.
He's nice. Are you wearing cute underwear?
What?
Right, of course you're not.
She
Just keep your
whispers.
pants on. Oh. Just keep your pants on until we have a chance to go shopping.
I'm not gonna. But before I can defend my honor, Fernanda has already left my hug and started walking towards her car. My face is on fire.
You okay?
Yes, I blurt out. My heart is already racing, but Andrew takes a step closer. Taking a step closer didn't help matters. Let's go. I manage to pull myself together before I get in his car.
So, Fernanda seems cool.
Andrew says. I'm glad you think so. She's my best friend.
What clan is she in?
Oh, she's not. Just a regular person.
Oh. Huh. What does she think of the whole spirit fighting thing?
She doesn't know, actually, I say. A tingle of guilt works its way up my stomach and around my throat.
Oh.
Andrew says. I guess he could tell I'm uncomfortable. He looks like he's going to ask a follow-up question, then apparently decides against it. He starts the car and drives. I know, it sucks. I'm a bad friend, aren't I? I say.
I don't know. I have friends too, and I haven't told them. I mean, my mom said I had to keep it secret to keep everyone safe. If something like those jackals found out.
Yeah, my brother told me the same thing. My parents told me the same thing about my clan stuff. But my brother Daniel told his fiance when they were in high school.
How'd that go?
He asked. At first, it was horrible. My dad was pissed. So was my uncle. But she never said anything and she got used to it. Which, now that I think of it, it's kind of weird that my dad got mad, considering he told my mom at some point. She wasn't in the clan.
My mom had to tell my dad about it. But that was a little different. They met because she was saving him from a spirit.
Really? That's awesome. I want to meet my husband beating up a spirit,
Maybe you already did.
Andrew says. I hadn't even realized what I said, but now it made sense. I did save Andrew the first night we were out. I feel both embarrassed and witty at the same time. A surprise joke attack. Hey, where are we going? I asked.
The promenade. Is that okay?
Sure, I haven't been there in a while. The promenade is basically a mall, except outside. The mall that used to be there was torn down 5 years ago and rebuilt. I will admit it's much nicer this way. Amid all the designer stores and smoothie shops, they added a koi pond, a kid's playground, one of those long sand pits for playing horseshoes, some of those tables that have chessboards carved into them, and lots of interesting little nooks where you can sit. We park and start walking around. Hidden speakers play what I like to call fashion beats, the type of music you expect to hear at a runway show. We stop by a coffee shop and get some drinks. Iced vanilla latte for me, and a chai iced tea for him. We find this really cool sitting spot. It's made out of woven wicker circles. The bottom of the circle has the bench part, though it's more like a bed with a soft cushion and a bunch of pillows on both ends of the circle. There are also some canvas privacy curtains that hang from the top. I flop into the circle bed bench basket and lean against the pillows. Andrew does the same, leaning against the opposite end of the circle so that we can face each other. This thing's cool, I say.
Yeah, they're really trying to turn bench building into an art.
Andrew says. I don't mind the pillow, that's for sure, I say, taking a sip of my drink.
Hey, is your brother okay?
I shrug. In what sense of the word? He's not hurt from making an idiot of himself on the fence, if that's what you mean.
You guys get along?
Me and Henry? We used to. Then we turned into teenagers. I'm hoping that when we become adults, it'll get better again. But I think we're both just going through too much,
That sounds complicated.
he says. He takes a long sip, thinking.
So, Daniel's the one with the fiance, and that was Henry, and you mentioned Peter?
Oh, yeah, 4 brothers. There's James, too. Daniel, James, Peter, Henry, in that order. They're all older than me.
Wow, that sounds interesting.
That's one way of putting it. I take a sip of my latte.
I always wanted a sibling, but I guess we always want what we don't have.
Can the guardian have more than one child? I asked without hesitation. I guess I should have learned that I should be careful with the guardian questions, but Andrew doesn't seem to mind this one.
They can, yeah. The oldest gets the power, though, and that has been an issue with some of my ancestors. So a lot of guardians choose to only have one child to prevent it from being an issue. My grandpa was one of 7 kids, though. It's mostly a personal choice.
He says. How many kids are you going to have? Andrew lets out a long puff of air and a huge shrug.
I don't know. I've always hated being an only child, but I can see the wisdom of having one. I mean, you're having a feud with your brother right now.
I don't think I'd call it a feud. We just annoy each other. We love each other, and I don't doubt that for one second. If something happened to me, he'd be the first one to start throwing punches. I'd do the same for him. Andrew smiles.
This is why I wish I had siblings. It's hard to not have someone that is loyal to you. What about you? How many kids do you want?
Oof, I say, shifting in the pillows. That's a good question. 5 seems like a lot, but I also can't imagine my life with less chaos. I mean, our house is always full and is always loud and always busy, but I kind of like it. On the other hand, I don't know if I'm interested in being pregnant for that long. My mom was basically having kids for 10 years,
Could always adopt some.
he says. Yeah, I thought about that too. Would you adopt?
Yes, it would be a way to keep the guardian power thing from being an issue and have more than one kid.
He says. Oh, right, that makes sense. We both take a long sip. I suddenly find myself staring at him again. His quiet intelligence is really something else, but he never wielded it to make himself feel more important than me. Are we trying to figure out if we would be compatible? I ask.
I think we are.
He says. And what do you think so far?
I think we should say how many kids we want total on the count of 3.
Including adopted?
Yes.
Okay,
Ready?
he says.
1, 2, 3.
3.
3.
We both grin like idiots. I wonder what a child of ours would look like.
Whoa, is that?
Andrew says, pointing. I turn and my mouth drops open. I think so. We weren't the only ones staring. Every head in the promenade turns to follow her when she passes by. Phones come out of pockets and purses, taking long-range pictures and videos. She has long blonde locks, impeccably curled, that bounce on her shoulders. 2 teen girls run out from stores, phone at the ready.
Sure thing.
She replies. Her lips are a soft, pearly pink. She pulls her reflective aviator sunglasses off. Her aqua blue eyes are piercing and perfectly accented by subtle pink eyeshadow.
Thank you.
The girls say, rushing away to admire their pictures. She puts her sunglasses back on and continues walking. Her hips sway perfectly in a pair of designer jeans. She wears adorable olive green peep-toe boots that I suddenly find myself desiring.
Can I get one real quick?
A guy in his 20s asks, rushing out with his phone.
Of course.
she replies. The guy is taller and she leans comfortably into a side hug. He has the hugest grin when he takes the picture.
I'm a huge fan. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being a fan.
She says, adjusting her 3/4 sleeve gray jacket. She wears a t-shirt underneath with sparkly writing that spells love. She's even cooler in person, I find myself saying.
Hey, is she heading toward us?
Andrew says. Wait, she is heading towards us. Why? I look around from my own phone, unlock it, and tap the camera app, hoping my roll wasn't actually already full. Oh, geez, the app isn't loading. Ugh, and why is my phone always so slow when I need it to be faster? She's going to be here. She's going to be right here, and I won't have any way of taking a picture. Maybe Andrew's phone works better. He can send me the picture after, and
Hi.
I look up, and she's standing by our chair bench bed basket, looking straight at us. Hi, I say.
You're Melody Starlight.
Andrew says. She laughs and flips her hair back, sliding her sunglasses off and dropping them into a front pocket of her jacket.
Yes, well, that's my stage name. My given name is Estelle Aria Valencia Archesi, of the Archesi clan.
She holds out a perfectly manicured hand towards him.
But you can call me Star.
Archesi, I say. I had forgotten. In all of the drama of the last few days, dating Andrew, Daniel getting engaged, Tristan returning, fighting spirits, I'd forgotten that there was another girl involved. And Archesi. This Archesi.
Hi.
Andrew says, shaking her hand. Melody Starlight, or I guess Star, turns to focus those aqua blue eyes straight at me.
You must be Jane Choi of the Haruk clan.
I stare at her. My favorite singer just said my name, my clan's name. I don't know how to process this. I finally muttered, yeah, that's me.
Nice to meet you. Do you mind?
She gestures towards our basket bench chaired bed. Andrew and I shuffle around to make room. Star looks between us for a moment, then sits herself beside me. She smells wonderful and flowery,
Ooh, that looks good.
she says, peering over at my drink.
Was that from Coffeeos?
Yeah, I say.
I might have to get one.
She turns to look at Andrew's cup.
What did you get?
Chai iced tea.
Oh, that's cool. I never really liked chai myself.
I look at Andrew. He looks at me. We both look at Star.
Okay. This is going to be even more awkward than I thought.
Star mutters.
Let's start over. You can call me Star. I'm from the Archesi clan. I'm here to date you.
You?
Andrew says. Melody Starlight? I say.
Just Star, please.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Andrew says. He puts his tea in one of the cup holders. I gulp down the rest of my drink. Maybe the sugar can help me make sense of this.
Say what's on your mind. This is a strange situation, so it doesn't do anybody any good to sit here and pretend they know what they're doing. I definitely don't know what I'm doing.
She says this so calmly, though, that I had a hard time believing her. My latte is now nothing but sips of melted ice. The straw makes that slurping, bubbly sound it makes when you reach to the end of the drink.
You want to marry me?
Andrew asks.
Well, that was fast. Sure, I'll marry you.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant you're willing to get married to me and have my children. Oh, that sounds gross when I say it out loud.
No, it's fine. I understand the situation. Yes, I'm interested in seeing if we are a good match. And if we are, I'll marry you and have the next guardian as my child.
Star says. She keeps talking as if this is the most natural question in the world. Then again, she must be used to answering random personal questions from strangers. But you're the biggest pop star in the world, I say, as if to finish my own thought. She turns and smiles at me. Her smile is larger than life, like someone switching on an extra sun.
Oh, thank you. I'm not exactly the biggest these days. My manager says my rankings are slipping a bit.
Because you haven't put out a new album in a while, I say. Apparently, in my shocked state, my inner fangirl is taking over.
Yeah, that's part of it. I haven't done anything in a year, really. No performances, no collaborations, no walk on acting gigs, just social media.
She shrugs.
But that's part of why I think I'm open to this. Things are slowing down, and I want to get out of the top. And if I wanted to get out at the top of my game, now would be the time to do it.
You're willing to give up all of that for marriage?
I think I want to give it up. I want to have meaning, and having a quiet little life raising the next guardian would be very meaningful. The career is fun, but I don't love it so much that I would miss it.
Because you're an Arcasi, I say. Star turns to look at me. Her face isn't angry, but is not happy either. I honestly can't read what she's feeling. Andrew is confused.
What does that mean?
He asked. Finally, the shock of the situation is wearing off, and my brain is starting to work again. I motion to the people around us.
You remember when we first saw her? She drew us in like a magnet. Everyone noticed too. People were running. Oh.
You remember when we first saw her? She drew us in like magnet. Everyone noticed too. People were running up and asking for selfies, taking pictures, and probably tweeting and posting all over the place. But now? He looks around.
They don't notice her at all.
Exactly. She's an Arcasi. They're illusionists, I say.
It's true.
Star says.
Right now, I want to be left alone to talk to you guys, so I'm using my powers to make us unnoticeable.
We're invisible right now.
Andrew asks.
Not invisible. Unimportant. Just like the people walking around that you're not paying attention to. That's how we are to them, just other people who aren't worth noticing.
Which is the opposite of what you did when you came in, I say.
I don't amplify myself. Not anymore.
Star says.
When I first started in music, I was part of an all-girl group called Punk Bouquet. Ever heard of it?
Andrew shakes his head. I had heard of it, being the Melody Starlight superfan that I am, but I instead do a non-committal shrug.
Well, it went okay, but as it turns out, most people don't want to hear a bunch of 12-year-old girls singing punk music. Kind of hard to be anti-establishment when you're a band put together by a record label. I miss my stage name, though. It was Supernova.
Damn, I didn't know that. And I have to admit that is cool.
When I went solo, I was only 14. I was insecure, worried that nobody would like me by myself. So I used my powers to enhance my likability. It worked. People loved my concerts and my interviews. But as I got deeper into the business, I saw how hard everyone worked to achieve their goals. I realized I was fake, so I stopped using them.
And that's when you made Fight For Me, I blurt out.
Yeah, that's right. I worked really hard on that album, and it paid off. Since then, I don't enhance. I just subdue when I want a little privacy. To be honest, I could probably do the same thing by toning down the makeup and wearing a hat.
She says.
So that's what the Arcasi do? Manipulate emotions?
Andrew asks.
Yes and no.
She says.
Emotional manipulations are easier, more subtle. I can't change someone's core beliefs, but I can make them feel differently about a situation, to an extent. If you're grieving at a funeral, I can't suddenly make you extremely happy, for example.
I see. And what else?
He asked.
How about this?
She snaps her finger, and suddenly we're not at the promenade anymore. We're in the middle of a desert, surrounded by dunes. I can feel the heat on my skin, and the glare of the sun forces me to squint. I want to reach out and pull down the privacy curtain, but I don't need to, because it's not real. I try to tell myself that again and again. Not real, not real, not real. Ignore it, Jane. It's not real. Picture the promenade. I can't. Not until she releases it, and everything comes rushing back.
Whoa.
Andrew whispers. I look intently at Star. It would have been bad enough for our Arcasi girl to be gorgeous. I'm not gorgeous. I'm in shape, sure, but my boobs are too small and my thighs are too strong, and I've had the same haircut since I was 11. But I'm not just losing it at appearance. Star is rich. She can offer Andrew a world I can't. If they wanted, they would never have to work a day in their life. She would bring him into the world of fame and luxury and influence, and they could party with celebrities, or start charitable foundations, or run away from all of it and hide on some tropical island. Star has what Andrew wants more than anything: freedom. And all of that would have been bad enough, except that there is now one more layer for me to consider. The Haruk and the Arkazi are the only two clans in the city. Despite that, we don't interact that much. I met a few Arkazi a couple years ago, and they demonstrated their powers. At the time, I was impressed with how realistic the illusions were, but they were nothing compared to what Star just did. I felt the heat. My eyes watered from the sunlight. Star is very powerful, which means that her beauty and fame don't matter because she can get whatever she wants with that power. I start to wonder if she's telling the truth. It's a noble story, giving up her power to work hard, but there isn't any proof that it's true. I believe it, but how do I know that's not part of her power too? She can make me feel anything. She can make Andrew feel anything. Hell, she could give him his wildest fantasies come to life with that power. Except the guardian immunity, I say, still staring at Star. She turns to look at me.
Yes?
She says, not as a challenge, but like a teacher who's excited I might get the right answer. It's a little annoying, but I push on. When Andrew gets his powers, your illusions won't work on him anymore. And you know that, so that's why you're being so open and honest right now, because you don't want to get caught.
Caught is kind of a loaded word, but I understand why you use it. There are Kezi who use their powers for everything. Personally, I think they're addicted to it. It's a huge temptation, I admit. But like I said, I want my life to have meaning, which means I need my relationships to have meaning.
Star turns to Andrew. She gets up and kneels beside him.
You might be the only person in the world who I can have an honest relationship with.
I can't read Andrew's expression, but even I can feel the intensity of that declaration. Everything about Star is way more intense, way more interesting, and way more impactful than me. Here I am stumbling through my first dates, and she's already thought about how meaningful her marriage to Andrew would be. I don't have a chance. I should just get up and go home. I get up.
Where are you going?
Andrew asks, snapping out of his intense gaze with Star. I gotta pee, I say, which is true since I guzzled down that iced vanilla latte. Be right back. A few minutes later, I'm standing at the mirror, staring at myself as I wash my hands. I feel stupid. I've been worrying about the last few days about whether I should go through with this clan dating scheme, wondering if I was open to a long-term relationship with a guy I never met, wondering if I wanted the path of my life to be dominated by the Guardian, and I didn't need to. There was never a chance I was going to be better than Star. But at least it was over. I could take comfort in that. It was only 3 days, and I had at least been on my first date. I gained experience. I walk back towards our nook, and Star and Andrew are standing next to it. And predictably, Star is hugging Andrew, his face buried in her neck. I'm about to turn around and leave without saying goodbye, but then I realize that Star isn't looking at him. She's staring down the length of the promenade. I follow her gaze. A giant purple bull is charging at them.
And we are going to leave it here. And we are going to leave it off here tonight. At the end of chapter 11, a bull facing down on our superpowered characters. Thank you so much for coming and checking everything out. Here is the credits. Thank you so much, and see you next week.